Recording in progress.
Good morning, members. It's 9 o'clock. We just await a few members to still join us. I'll just check on the chairperson as well. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning to everybody on the platform. Let me greet, I'm not sure if the minister, the deputy minister is here, but we are expecting, I believe, the leadership of, should it be the GCIS? I'm not sure. But good morning, honorable members. Can I just get a pulse sense that everybody's here?
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Honorable Matafa. Good morning, Honorable Shongwe.
Good morning, Chair. How are you?
I'm okay. Good morning, Honorable Vilagazi.
I'm glad I was remembered, Chair. As an afterthought, it would seem, but it's better than nothing. I'll take it. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody on the call.
Good morning, Honorable Bodlani. All committee staff are present. Colleagues, I'm hoping today we won't have too long a meeting, but we did ask that this meeting is also used to clean up any outstanding issues. I think we've just had a very, very difficult term, what with the changes to the budget, the revisions to the strat plans. Obviously, our program is now helter-skelter and all over the place. So I have requested that just a presentation is made at the end of the meeting with what is remaining of the term, because we've had to drop a lot of meetings and programs. But maybe let me ask the Secretariat to put up the agenda for this meeting before we get into that. Hajira?
Morning, Chairperson. Notice of the meeting, Chairperson.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the amended second term program, the consideration and adoption of the budget vote report of the GCIS, and I'm assuming MDDA. Then the adoption of outstanding reports. Can you be specific there? Which outstanding reports and minutes are we adopting?
I can do that, Chairperson. Chairperson, we have 3 oversight reports by individuals. The one was when yourself and Dr. I think Madupe went to Barcelona. We have the report by Mr. Subrati going to India, Mr. Balakazi in Durban, And then we have an outstanding report of 4 entities on the beat report R. Dr. Madupi will speak to that for today, Chair. We have a few set of minutes as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I check if we have a quorum to start the meeting and to adopt the agenda?
I'm just checking again, Chair. We were waiting for one member, but I think I've seen her. 1 second.
Just to assist the chair, we do have a quorum. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you very
Chair.
much.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I check if we have any apologies for this meeting?
Chairperson, although the Deputy Minister is not needed at this meeting, DCDT, he did send an apology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the GCIS, you said Deputy Minister DCDT, right?
That's correct, Chairperson. Chairperson, when we adopt reports, we don't really need a department or anyone here. It's for internal matters. Thank you.
I'm well aware, however, I would have thought that they would have an interest in the subject matter. Okay, thank you very much. Then may I please have a mover for the adoption of the agenda?
I move,
I
Chair.
move, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bodlani, Honorable Subrathi, and Honorable Shongwe. The agenda is therefore moved and adopted. Maybe then let's start with the first presentation, Hajira, on the amendments to the second term program that have had to be made. Thank you.
Yes, Chairperson. Good morning, members. Members, as you can recall, last week or this weekend on the group, it was decided that we'll have our virtual meeting today, Tuesday, which we are having at this moment. Tomorrow we're having a physical meeting, and it's clear there that we'll be dealing with the revised DCPC APP. Our budget vote debates has moved, and that's why it necessitated that we change the program. So for now, our budget vote 4 will take place on the 4th of July, and budget vote 11 will take place on the 30th. Apologies. Budget vote 30 will take place on the 11th of July. Apologies for that. In terms of Tuesday, 8th of July, we tried to just determine from the Department of Justice if they will be available for this meeting. They've indicated that the minister will not be available. They will send a formal letter. In that instance, we'll move this date for consideration and adoption of budget vote 30 to the 8th. And so this will be moving there now. We just await the letter, but the chairperson has been informed. Thereafter, on the 22nd of July, we have a joint sitting with the Standing Committee on Appropriation. Our members can determine if that still needs to be physical or if a virtual meeting would be required because it's a joint meeting. And we are still working on the ethical leadership and legislative oversight program for the 24th and the 25th. Chairperson, thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, just to add from the presentation of Hajira, members might not have seen the date of the 15th of July on the program. That date will be reserved for the interviews for subcommittee on MTDA. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ngoma. Thank you, Ms. Sally, for those presentations. Honorable members, we thought it was important to just put this program to you so that you have a sense of what the rest of the month looks like towards the end of the term. You'll remember, for example, on Friday, the 4th of July, we were meant to have had a joint sitting with basic education on connectivity, on school connectivity, which we've had to now move as a result of the mini plenaries. The issue of the 8th of July There's a question there around whether that meeting is going to sit, given the fact that it's many plenaries, and they've said to us that we should prioritize meetings that are either dealing with legislation or statutory appointments. I forget the third thing. So yeah, that's really where we are. Any comments, questions for clarity? Okay. I suppose it is as clear as mud. Thank you very much, colleague. Sorry, can I just double check that meeting of the 22nd of July? Do we have written confirmation from the Standing Committee on Appropriations?
Not as yet. We have communicated with the committee secretary, who said that they have slotted us in, but we have not sent letters as yet and we will do that after this meeting, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I suppose the last thing that we need a guidance from the members, the program by the National School of Government, which was on ethical leadership and the legislative oversight program. There is a proposal on the table that we could have that either physical or virtual, but we thought that maybe let's bring that to the members instead of deciding on it. It's obviously over and above the capacity building that Parliament does. But we had been approached by the National School of Government on some of the programs that they offer for parliamentarians. The 24th and the 25th of July are Thursday and Friday, which also mark the end of this term going into constituency period. Members, can we have comments on that issue of how that program is run? And then finally, if we could also then get somebody to adopt these changes. I know we've adopted this program before, but just to give us a sense that we are still together. Thank you, Honorable Subrathi.
Chairperson, thank you. Thank you to Secretariat for this tabling this amended program. Chairperson, my proposal is that we keep the 24th and 25th virtual so that members can avail themselves of the opportunity to take part, as well as we are not bound by a physical location, Chairperson. So my proposal would be that we go virtual, and with that proposal, I also support the adoption of this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Vilakazi.
Thank you, Chair. I would support the proposal made by the Honorable Subrathi on regard to the 24th and the 25th. I was sitting last night just making sure that my calendar is caught up with the dates for the various things, both in Parliament as well as the committee itself. But it's just such a moving target. I'm wondering if we can, if it's even possible for the Secretariat to give us some kind of confirmed program then. But I realize that, as Ms. Sally was saying, a lot of the things are still to be confirmed. So I guess it's just a case of getting updates immediately they are available from the Secretariat, in order for us to then make the necessary changes to the program, because it seems at this point it's difficult to really know what is happening on what date for certain.
Thank you, Honorable Vilakazi. Honorable Bodlani.
Chair, just to echo the sentiments of Honorable Vilakazi, what I do appreciate is Ms. Hajira putting in the calendar entries. It does help with the planning. But I think leaving the decisions about whether the meeting is going to be online or virtual it becomes a bit difficult, especially when you have to consider that sometimes we would just be flying out for that particular meeting. So I think getting the confirmations as soon as possible also assists. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. All of those are noted, and I think working together with the Secretariat will endeavor to ensure that you are provided information in as timely a manner as possible. So thank you for your inputs. Thank you, Hajira. So we may move on then to the next item, which is the consideration. Yes,
Apologies, Chair. I know that Mr. Subrati indicated that he adopts this report. Did we have a secretary, Chair?
okay, sorry. I thought that those comments were tacit secondment. Am I correct, Honorable Vilagazi?
You are correct, Chair.
Thank you very much. So it has been seconded, Hajira. Okay, could we move then to the next item, which is the consideration of the Portfolio Committee report on Budget Vote 4, which is the Government Communication and Information System. And before this issue arises, let me report that we have once again sent a letter, this time to the Speaker's office around Brand South Africa, because we are confronted with once again having to approve a budget that includes Brand South Africa that we have no line of sight on. As of yesterday, I think we had received acknowledgement of the letter. The letter specifically requests the Speaker to utilize the powers or the discretion that the rules give her to decide which committee must handle what matter. And in the letter, we make a recommendation for a unitary reporting structure for Brand SA, whether then it resides within DPME, which looks after parts of the presidency. We'll know that Budget Vote 4 is in the presidency, or a DCDT, our portfolio committee, which is currently looking after parts of Budget Vote 4. So as soon as we have a response to that matter, I think that members will be advised. But having said that, yeah, I think it's something that we'll continue to raise even in the debates and any other platforms that we engage in. Dr. Medupi, Mr. Maleka, I'm not sure who is leading in the presentation of this report.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the members and the rest of our colleagues. I will be leading the brief, presentation, Chair, and Mr. Maleka will be in support as we move along. If I may, Chair. I'm not too sure if you can see me, Chair, if my camera is working and if I am audible enough.
Yes, you are, and yes, we can.
The report is the report of the Portfolio Committee on Communications on its deliberations on Budget Vote 4, Government Communication and Information System, GCIS, and Media Development and Diversity Agency, which is the MDDA, and the report is dated today. This is basically a brief but pertinent matters that were raised during the deliberations, Chair. Quite abridged, quite brief matters of primary concern that were raised during the deliberations by the committee was that the formulated targets and KPIs are not measurable or time-bound, making it very difficult to assess the impact on the citizens of the country. There was also an issue of the misalignment.
Sorry, Doc, before you proceed, can you just clarify? I'm seeing, and I appreciate it, I'm seeing that this seems to be a summarized version. I'm assuming it's identical to the full report, and it's the full report that will be submitted to Parliament, to the National Assembly, and over and beyond that members can comment on the full report, not just on the summary you're presenting. Am I correct?
That's precisely the point, Chair. This is just the full report, but members would definitely be, as they would have read, I would imagine, be commenting on the full report. This is just a quick summary in terms of pertinent issues, that have been raised and that the report covers quite extensively. The second point that was raised in the report, high-level point, Chair, was the misalignment between the strategic plan and the KPIs. That the strategic plan refers to a commitment. One of those was that the strategic plan refers to a commitment to transformation, but the APPs lack specific KPIs on gender, youth, people with disabilities. The second sub-bullet that relates to that was that the committee always get involved, only towards the tail end of the strategic plans and APPs, make it very difficult for Parliament to meaningfully participate in the process and provide the necessary budget approvals. Just just a line in that paragraph. Good indicators indicate direction towards change for the better, what to change, how to change, and how quickly to effect the change corresponding to the manner and speed of change. These have to be evidence-based, time-bound indicators with clear measurement tools and mechanisms. Important to indicate as well, Chair, that after members had raised the lack of impact and measurable indicators, one of the bills that empowers members in as far as before the approval of budget is the Money Bill Amendment Procedure and Related Matters Act, which was promulgated in 2009 and provide Parliament through committees with powers to attach stringent preconditions as part of the approval processes before the money is released to the departments and the entities thereof. This can be effected through the Standing Committee on Appropriations and would then be monitored as part of the committee oversight over and above the standard recommendations through the House. This is one of the measures. I think Honorable Lagazi had raised one of the issues very sharply, that the indicators are really activity-based and are not measurable, and we are able as a committee, as part of our oversight, to measure the impact thereof. This particular bill, Chair, it gives the committee and the members to put preconditions that will then be processed through the Standing Committee on Appropriation to make sure that the departments and the entities are held accountable and their KPIs are impactful. Part of the report, Chair, would have outlined the strategic plan of the GCIS for 2025-29. For 2025-29 strategic plan period, the government communication, which is the GCIS, will work to provide strategic leadership and coordinate a government communication system that ensures the public is informed and has access to information on government programs and policies that benefit them. This dovetails, as part of the strategic plan, this dovetails with the priorities of the GCIS, which are informed and empowered citizens, a well-functioning government communication system, transformed mainstream print and digital media, advertisement and community media, and improved governance and service excellence. The expenditure overview of GCIS for 2025-26, Chair, which is part of the APPs, the expenditure is set to increase at an average annual rate of 3.4%. That is from 760 million in 24-25 to 842 million in 27-28. The department's medium-term budget it's in total 2.5 billion. 32.6% of that, which is 804 million, of which would be earmarked for transfer to the department entities. Compensation of employees is the department's main cost driver, spending on which accounts for an estimated 39.2%, which is 974 million of its budget over the period. Some of the focus areas of the medium term for the GCIS, Chair, if I may, is an informed and empowered citizenry. The content produced for and shared through the department's various projects and platforms would aim to improve the quality of life for South African citizens by keeping them informed and empowered. Over the medium term, the department aims to conduct 1,250 community and stakeholder engagements annually. The second focus area will be showcasing South Africa during its G20 presidency. The department would implement integrated marketing and communication efforts to ensure all citizens are fully informed and updated on South Africa's G20 presidency until 30 November 2025. To fund these activities, 48.9 million is allocated for 25-26, with 27.6 million designated for departmental efforts and 21.3 million allocated to Brent SA2 for that particular purpose. A well-functioning government communication system is one of other focus area, as the professionalization of government communication is key to enhancing the systems functionality, the department will offer training opportunities for government communicators in collaboration with the National School of Government. This will be backed up by capacity building and induction initiatives for new system entrants. Accordingly, the department plans to organize about 31 training sessions in 25-26, 39 sessions in 26-27, and 40 sessions in 27-28 for government communicators who will either be invited or apply. This will be disseminated through various platforms, Chair, at a projected cost of 20 million rand annually over the MTEF period. The 17 million is provided through the Communication Service Agency sub-program in the Content Processing and Dissemination Program, and the remaining 3 million through the Provincial and Local Liaison sub-program in the Intergovernmental Coordination and Stakeholder Management Program. On the specific GCIS APPs, Chair, during the APP period, GCIS will establish the foundation of a future-ready GCIS that is more agile and responsive to the evolving communication environment. Work will continue to grow Goza TV, the government streaming services, in partnership with NEMISA. The GCIS will undertake at least 1,250 as indicated community and stakeholder engagements, including community dialogues and outreach activities aligned with the National Communication Strategy Framework. 2025 to 2030 NCSF will assist in ensuring targeted communication that advances MTDF key priorities over the 7th administration. MDDA strategic plan, which is the entity under GCIS, where part of the budget will be allocated. MDDF strategic plan 2025-29, a key focus for 25-29, I'll correct that, medium-term development plan would be ensuring community radio stations stay on air, which is very critical. To achieve this, the agency will speed up the implementation of the recommendations of its research and on developing a sustainable model for community and small commercial media. A key recommendation from this research is that self-transmission will be critical to the sustainability of the community broadcasting. The agency will explore partnerships with technology providers to make access to community media on digital platforms more accessible and affordable. To ensure inclusive digital media development, the agency will also continue to facilitate digital skills training programs focusing on youth and marginalized communities. On their APPs, Chair, that's the MDDA, the first APP would be governance and administration. That program aims to establish practical corporate governance principles in the medium term. It also seeks to achieve an unqualified audit opinion with no significant finding, thereby improving the agency audit results. And the AG has been hammering a lot more, Chair, on compliance by the entities and the two departments, as it were. Grant and seed funding is the second APP or second focus area. The program promotes media development and diversity by providing financial and non-financial support for community broadcasting and small commercial trend project. It compromises two strategic objectives, each with its sub-program. The implementation of digital strategy will continue throughout the MTF. This strategy aims to empower the industry to thrive through ongoing innovation. Partnership, public awareness, and advocacy is the other focus area. This program would seek to position the MDDA as a leading influencer, authoritative voice in the community and small commercial media through the implementation of strategic partnership to carry out media development and diversity intervention and create a positive image in pursuance of the MDDA mandate to grow the community and small commercial media. The other focus area will be sector development and outreach. One of the objectives of the agency outlined in the MDDA Act of 2002 is to encourage the development of human resources, training, and capacity building within the media industry, especially among historically disadvantaged groups. In response, the agency has developed capacity building programs to equip community and small commercial media with the essential skills needed for effective daily performance. The last focus area will be in the area of research. This particular program aims to champion research and development and create a diverse body of knowledge within the agency. Briefly, high level, but quite critical recommendations, Chair, as part of the report on GCIS, that part of the agency funding comes from the universal access levy paid by broadcasters through the Electronic Communications Act, with serious I think I took the concerns here, Chair, and not necessarily the recommendations. These were the concerns that were part of the report, Chair. My intention was to zoom into the recommendations. These were actually the concerns. I think I copied the wrong concerns from the report. But in the report itself, Chair, the recommendations for GCIS, they are correctly spelled out, and they outline what is that the minister would need to do to make sure that there's impact, based on the budget allocation that the committee would have approved. If I may move to MDDA Chair on the recommendations, the minister must ensure that the setting of the targets are evidence-based with a precise mechanism for measuring the impact. The second recommendation, Chair, is to ensure alignment and correlation between APPs and strategic plan for targets, such as the number of media outlets to be digitally transformed. Ensure that there is a clear impact assessment plan for the distribution of the 9 new community radio studios valued at the cost of 20 million. That the minister must ensure that the MDDA ensure a clear sustainability strategy for all long-term projects focused on impact, full media diversity with quality content and wider audience reach within the most rural communities. That the minister must ensure that the MDDA ensure precise monitoring and reporting mechanisms for achievement and impact related to equity and redress, with clear reporting feedback in addressing media transformation. That the minister must ensure that the agency identifies a clear finding gap and programs likely to be adversely affected due to the shortfall in funding of the agency. Finally, Chair, that the minister would need to ensure that the MDDA ensure that the 5-year strategic plan, which the committee would uphold and hold the entity accountable for the MTDF, can substantially help achieve the agency mandate and make a tangible impact on communities. Though that's the brief from the report, Chair. I'm not too sure, Chair, if you would want me, because I think I have copied the concerns under the GCIS rather than the recommendation. But the recommendations are fully covered extensively, Chair, as part of the report. If you so allow, Chair, if you are amenable to that, to either go through recommendations or just allow members, as they would have read the report, particularly just to to comment those based on what they would have read. That's the report on the GCIS, Chair, which is vote 4. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Matupi. Can I ask that you pull up the recommendations on the GCIS so that we are all on the same page?
Okay, we'll do that in a minute. Chair, I'll just need to pull out the report. Hajira, do you have a report? Maybe we can just pull it up quickly.
I will do that.
And go straight to the recommendations for GCIS.
The recommendations, not observations.
No, straight to recommendations. And on the recommendations for GCIS, Chair, the minister would need to ensure that indicators reflect measurable outcomes, not just output or activities. The second recommendation, Chair, is that the minister would need to ensure that all targets on the APPs are evidence-based and SMART, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound targets for tangible results that are grounded in data and evidence within a defined framework. That the minister would need to ensure that indicators are aligned with GCIS sphere of control and exclude indicators where GCIS cannot directly influence the outcome. That the minister would need to ensure that indicators are grouped following results-based logic to maintain internal coherence within each outcome. That the minister would need to ensure that the media content analysis report is completed promptly to evaluate the effectiveness of government communication policies and machinery. That the minister would need to ensure that the government media buying policy is finalized within the current financial year. That the minister would need to ensure that the NCSF is presented to the committee for an appraisal of the content and guidelines of the framework. The minister will need to ensure that the target for centralized media buying, which has been set at 40% over the next 5 years, is reviewed for a higher target within the MTDF to enable a meaningful transformation within the sector. That the minister would need to ensure that a report is submitted by the start of the third term on the investment in Goza TV and the return on the investment to date. That the minister will need to ensure that the department provides a written response by the third term regarding whether there has been any global benchmarking with other countries on information disorder and what measures have been implemented to combat it. That the minister will need to ensure alignment with the Cybersecurity Acts to strengthen efforts to combat information disorder. The minister needs to ensure that the clear risk measures are outlined regarding how you would address the lack of spending on community media, which is likely to hinder efforts for the sector's sustainability. The minister will also need to ensure that clear measures are in place for how the department will evaluate the return on investment of all the budget disinvestments and transfers to its entities. The minister would need to ensure a decisive shift towards results-based planning, performance-linked funding of programs within the department and its entities. The minister will also need to ensure that there are clear measures and a communication plan for the 3 major events taking place in the country, which is the G20, local government elections, and the Presidential National Dialogue. That the department would need to provide a detailed breakdown of the media buying, public relations, and communication consultant contracts carried out so far. And finally, Chair, that the minister would need to ensure that the committee is engaged at the beginning of the developing of the APPs and strategic plans so that guidance can be provided from the outset on what would be expected before the approval of such budgets and the adoption of strategic plans. Those are the recommendations for the GCIS, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Matupe, Mr. Maleka, for that report. Honorable members, that is the proposed report on the vote for the GCIS incorporating its entity, the MDDA. I'd like us to engage on this report as it forms, or it is meant to form, our collective appreciation of the challenges. I want to bring to your attention, and maybe, if possible, while we debate, Dr. Metupi can see if we get clarity from the Appropriations Committee. The full report reads at some point that the committee has the powers to reject or approve a report. I think members will remember that this was the issue during the adoption of the fiscal framework, where there was a view that a parliament may amend rather than either reject or approve. My copy of the Money Bills Amendment Act speaks to the issue of amendment, and I would wish that perhaps if we're able to get appropriations, even if it's just for 5 minutes to take us through their understanding of the process, that would be appreciated, Dr. Matupe. I'm raising this because I do know that there are members who have raised quite sharply the issue of not being happy with the report, not unhappy enough to reject it, but they do feel that there needs to be amendment to certain areas, which obviously demands that amendments must be made. And I must say, colleagues, why really this door is being opened, at least from my side, is the fact that we're going to be stuck with these strat plans for the next 5 years. They may do a midterm review maybe in 2027, 28, but at the end of the day, if it's not in the plan, it's not in the APP, the likelihood of anything happening is minimal to none, and we will be told that this is the plan that Parliament had adopted. Now, where government becomes unfair, and I suppose it's the point that Dr. Medupi and Mr. Malega raised in the report, which would have come from your deliberations, is that these documents are provided to us at the tail end of a process where we're given a week or two to study them, then we have to pass them. And at that point, you know how the parliament system works in terms of the level of engagement that we're able to have on some of these critical issues. So I'd like you to also think to some of the issues that you have been raising, which you believe are entrenched systematic challenges especially coming from the oversights, that we should not miss this opportunity to ensure that they are incorporated. With those few words, members, can I open for comments, clarities, discussions on the report? I see no hands. That means that this report is excellent and adopted as is. Honorable
Sorry, Chair.
Vilakazi, Honorable Vilakazi, you'll be followed by Honorable Shongwe, I think. Honorable Vilakazi.
Thank you, Chair. And with your permission, if I may please keep my video off. I have very bad network connectivity on my side. We welcome the report, and as you state, and as indicated on the report itself, there were some reservations that were expressed by the committee, by members of the committee. I myself, speaking for myself, have grave reservations, particularly on the monitoring and evaluation aspect, which I feel is where our role is most significant, or it's the tools that we use to hold the department or the entity in this case to account. And if those are as weak or can be called to question in the way that they currently are, then it kind of makes the APPs as well as strategic plans not as strong maybe as we would want them to be, and compromises our ability to be able to fulfill our role fully. Now, I wanted to check, maybe propose, check whether this proposal would be able to pass. That I would like to officially submit my own comments on the report, particularly, as I've said, the monitoring and evaluation frameworks for both strategic plans and APPs for the GCIS and the MDDA. We then find out from them. We then hear from them, from the entities, by say Thursday, Chair, whether they will incorporate these and how. And if we are satisfied with the response that we get, it can then pave the way for possible adoption of the report during the budget vote discussion on Friday. But at least then, if that is, in my view, if that is a part of a condition of support, then at least it is it then binds the entities to ensuring that, or perhaps we could even set a time frame by a particular, in their response, they could tell us that by a certain time period, they will have incorporated these to whatever extent, of course, that they see relevant. And so that would be my proposal, that we are allowed to submit the proposed means of strengthening the monitoring frameworks, get a response from the entities or the department to hear how they are going to integrate these and when they would have done that by, to give us then a sense of whether we support the report on Friday or not. And in fact, I do need to express the view of the DA that at this point I and my colleague Bodlani would not be in a position to support the report one way or the other, or to give a view on the report one way or the other. But we would only be able to do that on Friday, following consultation with our caucus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bodlani. Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you, Chair. Noma soba ubizwa Vilakazi ngobhodlane, it's fine.
Sorry, it's a long year. Thank you, Honorable Vilakazi. Honorable
we are one in this.
We are one. And today we are Kwaza. Today we are Kwaza Vilakazi. Nyakuzwa mpepete. Thank you, Chair. Chair, Uba Vilakazi has covered me. Greetings to members and colleagues, and to you, Chair, again. Uba Vilakazi has covered me. I also appreciate the fact that you've opened this door of amendments, and I think ourselves as well as the MK will also reserve our support for now until further engagement. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shongwe. I'm looking for more hands. I'm not seeing any. Okay, maybe let me make my inputs while colleagues are probably just smiling on this issue. I hear the proposal that you're making, Honorable Vilakazi. I'm hoping that there may be an easier way rather than having to make a submission and get them to respond. Hence, I was asking Dr. Medupi if he can find out if the colleagues from appropriations are available. Because if we're able to say this is, so you can engage them, I think, but if we were to say in this report that, so if we said in this report, this is our unhappiness with this part of the report, and therefore we request that there are more measurable indicators that are put there, and then you engage, but that doesn't form part of the report, we may not have to wait for Thursday. But maybe let's check with Dr. Madupe how far he is, and then I'll come back with my points. Dr. Madupe?
Chair, I'm still waiting for the response from our counterpart on the preparation. I'm not too sure if they have a meeting this morning, but I've checked on his availability for a 5 minutes, if possible. I'm waiting to that effect. But having said that, Chair, I think, as indicated earlier on before my presentation, that one other avenue which is still really allowed, if the committee would want to to take that recourse, is that as part of the conditions of the approval of the report, is that they put a preconditions that will be formally sent to appropriation. And we can then take that as an approach, rather than stopping the whole process. That's really my suggestion as an advisor, that we can use the appropriation, recourse, where we sort of, put certain preconditions that 1, 2, and 3 would have to be, stringently, be monitored and has got to be followed. And appropriation would then attach to that before the money get released, to the departments and the entities. I'm just waiting on my counterpart chair to come back to me on his availability. I would let you know as soon as I get the response.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Madupe. So while we then wait for a guidance, I think even if it's after the meeting, I think what we're sitting with is we make our recommendations, we include them in the report, we pursue the appropriations avenue, but not necessarily that we would be expecting response from government prior, but that those conditions are attached to any sort of approval of the report. Obviously appreciating that parties have indicated the fact that they reserve their rights at this point in time. Just a few comments on my side, Doc, on the report, which, as we've indicated, should then come with conditions. The first one, just, and I'm going to try and go through them quite quickly. On page 1, if we could have the full name of the committee, because you have Portfolio Committee on Communications. And then I need you to please also just check the Money Bills Amendment Procedure Act, whether it speaks about reject or recommend, or as I believe, amend, and as you have said, amend. So that needs to be changed. In terms of the observations, one of the observations I would want to add is that there seems to be no alignment of the strategic plan with the MTDP. And what I mean by that is that I think the words are used casually. So they'll say inclusive growth and job creation, but when you drill down, you don't see how the outcome and the resultant activities are going to contribute to that outcome. So if you take inclusive growth, inclusive economic growth and job creation, for example, the outcome there is it's transformation of the media sector. And then on job creation, I'm assuming they speak about a target of moving from 5 to 7% in terms of the MAC Charter Council. How is this contributing to inclusive growth and job creation? I think that they need to be very specific so we can see the correlation, and that is across the MTD-DTP. I won't go into some of the issues that I think the department itself has not yet answered. Issues around platform strategies, Vuk'uzenzele, where you just even question the efficacy of these publications, because you also have a situation where the media industry in South Africa is dying. Now, a GCIS that is responsive and activist should concern itself with the challenges in the media industry as a whole, particularly print media. Nowhere do I see a reflection on that. Vuk'uzenzele has been killed in a print platform. It's now a digital platform. You look at the numbers, they're not convincing. So you're reaching 14,000 people. How much money of the state are you putting there in order to reach 14,000 people? And could that money not be used more effectively? You've spoken to Goza TV, so I won't speak to that. But again, it's questionable whether there's any value there in terms of what is achieved. So I want to come to some of the recommendations that I would want to make, or conditions. The first one is that I don't believe that we should be adopting this budget if it does not respond to the challenges affecting the GCIS. The biggest challenge which has come to us over and over again is the lack of a policy or a legislative instrument that is going to ensure alignment and coherence within the government communication system. Now, up until you do that, we're just tinkering on the sidelines. And I think that that should be one of the recommendations that we make, that we are approving this budget with the proviso that within the course of 12 months at the very most, there is a legislative reform to ensure that we do have a policy instrument that guides government communications. Secondly, there's many references that keep being made to legislative reforms around MDDA and Brand South Africa. And if you look at this is not going to be achieved within the course of this term. So what's the point? So I think there needs to be a fast tracking of the laws that govern that, MDDA, Brand South Africa, and community media spend. Again, you have discrepancies between their reports. If you read the full strategic plan, they speak about a 15% spend on community media. Then elsewhere, they want to ramp that up to 40%. We're not kids. How are you going to do that? You have no instrument to do it. You've been using cordiality for the last couple of years, as they've said. Now, how is that going to happen? And I think that necessary laws must speak to that. They also go on and on about evidence-based communication. Nowhere in the strategy, and I suppose this is what Honorable Vilakazi was saying, nowhere in the strategy or the APP do you get a sense that this evidence then is going to be presented and measured. So what exactly is evidence-based communication? Because yes, you want to do research through the GSAT and whatever tools that they have, but what is the impact on the other end? I would understand if the impact of communication on the economy, for example, then resulted in the number of people who were applying for jobs, or the number of people who received jobs, or the use of the South Africa Youth Mobi site, something that is tangible, that shows that we're not just praying and praying. And that is absolutely missing from this report. I would also want to put as a condition that we get quarterly performance reports on the implementation of the government communications policy and framework. On MDDA, the MDDA report speaks to the fact that self-transmission is a viable alternative. And then that is where it ends. So how is the MDDA going to be moving most community radio stations to self-transmission instead of just theorizing about it? And I believe that a strategic plan over the next 5 years that doesn't address that is not very helpful in my view. And then finally, the fundraising strategy. We speak about the fact that they need to identify a funding gap, but they need to have the deliverable that is a fundraising strategy at some point within the financial year, because At this point, they're going around saying, no, they shall be engaging with partners. Which partners? For what purpose? How much? To do what? And I think that that should be one of the conditions that are attached to the approval of this report. Yeah, I could go on and on, colleagues, but I don't want to waste time. I think the content advisors would have captured that. I don't want to leave anybody out. Are there any other comments? Honorable Militia, please do come in.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is just to say, just in case you were doubting, I'm in the meeting. I am here, Chair, and I hear the colleagues and particularly yourself. I want to say I agree with all the issues that you have raised about this budget, about how it in my view, it really does neglect the grassroots media, and it lacks accountability. So the issues and the timeframes that you are raising or you are proposing, I think they're going to assist in terms of that. I think it also just fails to address like the transformation in the media sector, and it just wastes like a lot of like resources that they don't have in terms of like funds on issues that are not really priority. And I just want to say, Chairperson, as it is, I'm glad that we seem to feel the same way as colleagues, because as it is something that is very difficult to support. That's all I wanted to say, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Militia. And maybe to the advisors, I remember at some point, I'm sorry, I'm not sure in which of the documents, I suspect it is the government communication policy. And I'm referring to these documents because I understand that our responsibility and mandate as members of the committee is to play oversight on the implementation of legislation, but also policy. Now, the government communication policy at some point assigns specific roles and responsibilities to a number of stakeholders, role players, whether it's ministers, whether it's accounting officers, the media liaison officers, the heads of communication in departments. The monitoring of the implementation of that and the performance. I get it, we're supposed to be moving to a performance-based government. The performance of those role players, it has to be reflected here, because we can't be having a situation where the GCIS is going to come to us and moan about, no, ministers are not available, no, nobody wants to take interviews. So who's going to be speaking to the people of South Africa? So as part of the conditions, that monitoring of performance of the role players in line with the government communications policy has to come through. And we're hoping that by doing that, then you have the executive and the administration also realizing that we hold them accountable for communicating to the people. And if they don't do it, it's something that is going to be raised in Parliament. So I would just want to make that final addition. Okay, assuming that there's no other hands, welcome back, Honorable Souls. You are welcome to the meeting. I've never seen the African National Congress quiet. Honorable Matafa, Honorable Mkhaga, Honorable Subrathi, are you in the meeting?
We are, Chair, and quite content with the inputs that were made in raising very important points around the presentation. So we are well represented, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't want you to disown me in caucus and say, hey, we don't know what happened with the chair, because I wanted to make sure. Thank you. Honorable Subrathi?
Chairperson, thank you so much. Chairperson, I've been listening very attentively, and I think the concerns are very valid. And what is very important for me is the opportunity and the very valid point you raised, that whatever we adopt here, we will be the next, the 5-year plan. And hence it's crucially important that we ensure that we have sufficient input now. And I think the stewardship and the leadership you are providing in the meeting, Chairperson, I feel it's sufficient. We are sufficiently covered by your leadership, and I think that is why we stand behind you, Chairperson. As you would lead us, I think as the African National Congress caucus in this committee here, we will support the suggestions that you would make, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, honorable members. Okay, so maybe we can step off this point then. Dr. Madupi, our resolution is that we have conditions that we are attaching to the, I want to say to the report, because even in the many plenaries, we don't vote there. The vote will happen on the 23rd of July, as I understand it, in the House. So we are attaching conditions to our report, and by Thursday, if we are not able to resolve it in this meeting, at least by Thursday, appropriations would have guided us exactly how to go about this. The question on the table is, can we just attach conditions like we just did, and appropriations then ensures that the department is compelled to implement them? Or do we need to follow another route in terms of getting responses prior to us then tabling the report? Obviously, nothing that delays the budget vote is desirable, so we'll need to work around that. You wanted to come back, Honorable Subrathi?
Yes, Chairperson. I wanted to propose so that maybe we could get off this item and return to it toward the end of the meeting before we close. That will allow Dr. Madupe to get feedback from appropriations. Because ideally, if we can adopt the report with that suggestions that you are making of those additions, it would be good to achieve that in this meeting here. So I'm saying let's lay off the item, come back if Dr. Madupe has feedback from appropriations. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Subrathi. I accept that suggestion, but I've also then noted that some members did say that they are going to reserve their right on this report because they would still want to consult with their caucuses. Hence, then I was making that extension for Thursday. But having said that, with an appreciation that we need to get the answers even before that. Honorable members, I hope that you also appreciate, though, with you then saying you need mandate from caucus, is that the report still remains unadopted, which means that we will have to explore what mechanisms we can utilize to get a formal resolution on the matter one way or the other. But thank you very much, honorable members. Let's move to the next item on the agenda, Hajira.
We can start adopting the report, Chairperson. The next report is the report on the outstanding 4 entities on BRRR. I'll write it now, Chair.
Thank you.
If I may, Chair, Hajira, can I flag from my side because I've got a brief on that as part of that report without going through the entire report. If I may, Chair.
Yes, you may, sir.
Is my screen showing, Chair?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Chair, the report in front of the committee is some of the annual reports that were submitted quite late by the four entities, which is SITA Support, Postbank, and BBI. There's a supplementary report to the budgetary review and recommendations, which is the BRRR of the Portfolio Committee on Communication and Digital Technologies, and the report is dated 1 July 2025. Chair, high-level pointers, Chair, in terms of the performance. On broadband infraco, performance highlights. One of the biggest challenges for the entity, Chair, has been the protracted legal battle with Eskom, which hampered the entity to utilize Eskom fiber to meet its legislative mandate. The financial year under review has had decreased network availability with 95 service cancellations due to the disconnected fiber links, significantly impacting network performance. However, the protracted legal battle with Eskom was resolved during the last quarter of the financial year under review. A total of 1,346 network failures, Chair, incidents were reported during the 23-24 financial year, compared to the 8,255 in the previous 22-23 financial year. That's an increase of 7% in network failure incidents reported during 23-24 compared to the last financial year of 22-23. At the end of 23-24 financial year, 15,050 households were connected, comprising Wi-Fi to the house WTTH and fiber to the home FTTH. A total of 539 public Wi-Fi hotspots were connected and successfully verified as part of the Broadband Access Fund BAF project. A total of 6,258 of these connected households were in deep rural areas across South Africa. The financial performance of the entity, due to increased operational cost, gross profit margin have decreased by 27% yearly, excluding depreciation. During the year under review, Chair, 625,000 in fruitless expenditure were incurred. As of 31st March 2024, the company concluded the period with a balance of 125 million in irregular expenditures. However, the Loss Control Committee has been reinstated to deal with this during the third quarter of that financial year to remedy this particular situation. All transactions will be investigated and finalized during the new financial year. On the consequence management, on the entity chair, the auditors were unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence that disciplinary steps were taken against officials who had incurred irregular expenditure as required by section 51, subsection 1, subsection E, Roman figure 3 of the PFMA Act. Audit outcomes, Chair, the company received a qualified audit opinion with material uncertainty related to its ability to continue as a going concern in few areas, such as liabilities exceeding current assets by 396,589,000. Therefore, material irregularity may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. The next entity, Chair, it was SAPO. The South African Post Office performance highlights. SAPO only managed to achieve 2 KPIs with 100% of the planned targets out of the 15 KPIs, amounting to 13% overall achievement of targets, namely, and those 2 targets were to attain a net profit position as per the corporate plan of 23-24 to 25-26. And the second target achieved was a regular monitoring of the turnaround strategy and implementation of that particular plan. During the year under review, Chair, SAPO was under immense financial stress and had to reduce some costs by implementing austerity measures while balancing the volumes requiring significant infrastructure investment, especially their fleet. On the SAPO's financial performance, Chair, revenue for the year and the review to 31 March 24 was 1.6 billion, declining by 700 million, which is 30% due to the decline in postal service, parcel and financial service revenue. Other income of 1 billion increased by 296 million, which is 39%. The audit outcomes on the post office. The post office retained the disclaimer audit opinion. The basis for the disclaimer is the going concern of current liabilities, which exceed current asset by 722 million and 709 million for the group and company, respectively. Both generated negative cash flows from operating activities of 275.1 million and 271 million rand, respectively. On Postbank, Chair, performance highlight the following key challenges characterize the operating environment of Postbank. The variation notice, inability to offer new products to new customers and grow the customer base, the inability to grow transactional revenue, and these are some of the issues that were raised by the Reserve Banks, by the way. Capacity constraint, lack of requisite systems, which is IT instabilities, high vacancy ratio across the business, gaps in the ESCO, lack of banking skills and experience within the business, project interdependencies and competing priorities. The bank management implemented the strategy and the APP as approved, but also prioritized delivering on what it deemed critical and necessary to ensure that the business performed well and was properly set up for the future. Audit outcomes, Postbank received a qualified audit opinion for the 23-24 financial year, an improvement from the disclaimer, which was an improvement from the disclaimer opinion received, which had been received the previous year and the 2 financial years prior. On SETA, Chair, summary of performance on SETA. Significant developments unfolded within and around SETA, notably the strides towards reaching its target during the financial year 23-24. SETA had 21 planned targets, 13 of which were achieved, resulting in a performance of 61.90%. It is an improvement from the 44%, or it was an improvement from the 44% performance reported in the financial year 22-23, and is a testament to the effectiveness of some strategies implemented during the period. On the audit outcomes on SETA, SETA received a disclaimer, Chair, a disclaimer audit opinion for the financial year 23-24, and the Auditor General report for the financial year highlighted SETA's receipt of qualified audit opinions over the past 4 financial years. The recommendations on the 4 entities, the Minister should ensure that the DCDT enforces compliance with regulations on tabling of reports to Parliament. This was a major concern, Chair, that the Minister must ensure an integrated approach to policy formulation so that digital transformation is realizable and impacts across all sectors of business, government, and society. And finally, the Minister must ensure a continuation in promoting partnerships and collaboration within all the entities of the DCDT, including other government entities, as a strategy to minimize duplications. These are really high-level, recommendations that we chose from the entire report. But over and above, there's many other recommendations that the report would have outlined. But these are some of the ones that we thought we should sort of emphasize on. On SETA, Chair, the Minister must fast-track the repositioning and repurposing of SETA to deliver on its mandate. The Minister must present to the committee a detailed report of all criminal cases at SETA upon adoption of this report. And the Minister must desist from setting, the entity must desist from setting targets that depend on outside factors, but when necessary, they would need to strengthen partnership and collaboration to mitigate this dependency. And the agency should adopt, SETA should adopt a more cautious approach in setting targets, and SETA would need to improve turnaround times for service provision to client. The Minister must ensure that SETA appear before the committee together with the department to present on the implementation of the National Cybersecurity Policy Framework and the role of its entities. And finally, once published, the Minister would need to present the SETA regulations which were formulated recently, Chair, and this would need to be presented to the committee just to appraise the committee on how far is the process and what would be happening going forward. On Postbank, the Minister would need to ensure that Postbank has a strategy to compete in mobile banking just like other banks. The Minister would need to ensure that adequate human capital capacity for the bank to function properly, including recruitment of skilled personnel and upgrade of IT systems. And finally, the Minister will need to continue to amend and restore relations with, the bank continue to amend and restore relations with SASSA. On SAPO, Chair, the Minister will need to ensure that the survival of SAPO as a USO, Universal Service Obligation, service entity of government. The Minister will need to ensure a resolution on all matters related to SAPO staff and report quarterly to the committee. The Minister will need to guarantee the existence of SAPO post the business rescue process. And finally, the Minister will need to ensure that there is sustainability of the remaining active 657, now 553, I think it is. That number has been reviewed. Branches and continue to grow the business. On BBI, Chair, the Minister will need to ensure that implementation of consequence management is undertaken. The Minister will need to provide in writing a detailed audit of BBI connectivity projects across the country, including their GPS coordinates. The Minister will need to increase campaigns that market BBI project, as well as inform youth on how to participate in the BBI business enterprise model. The Minister will need to put measures in place to ensure that BBI has a strategy to ensure long-term financial strategic stability. And the Minister will need to engage counterparty departments to find a solution to infrastructure sharing between Transnet, Eskom, and BBI. And finally, the Minister will need to, upon adoption of this report, should appear before the committee with the entity to present the commercialization model of BBI. Chair, that's the report on the four entities, and I must say that this is in retrospect quite old submissions. I'm not too sure if Mr. Malek has got anything to say because he played a prominent role and a greater role in putting together the report. Mr. Malek, if anything, you may go ahead, but that's the report, Chair, on the four entities. Mr. Malek?
I'm covered, Doc. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair. That's the report, Chair, on the four entities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you step off the platform, Dr. Madube, can you just remind us what was the purpose of this report once again?
The purpose of the report, and I'm sure Mr. Malak will come in as well to assist with the processing. Chair, these are the four entities that did not submit during the BRRR processing of the 2023-24 financial year, I think it was. They were late; they could not submit on time. So, as part of parliamentary process, they needed, as part of our oversight as well as a committee. And I must say, Chair, some of those things they've really been overtaken by events. But this was, and I wouldn't want to call it, it is part of the compliance here, but it's a necessary process, in making sure that we regroup on issues that had been previously raised, and if there's been any traction in making sure that those issues are resolved. These are four entities that did not submit when the rest of the entity and the department submitted, and we had to make sure that they get to submit and account for that financial year as money would have been appropriated for that particular year, Chair. That's what the purpose was about, really.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Madube. Colleagues, then Dr. Madube doesn't want to say that we are being asked to approve for compliance, but I suppose that is what we are required to do. Can I check if there are any comments, changes, views on this document, which was the four entities that submitted late for the BRRR process? Honorable Botlani?
Good morning, Chair. I think one thing I would like to just add additionally is what we have also spoken about extensively as the portfolio committee, is the rationalization of the entities, especially the measure between BBI and Centec. I don't know if that was extensively covered in the report. If it was, I did miss it, but I would appreciate that if it would be added. And obviously believing that then this would then be added to our resolution tracking tool so that we at least keep track of these resolutions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Botlani. Any other comments, honorable members? Okay, with no further comments, then I'm going to call for the adoption of the report. But maybe just to say, Mr. Madube, the fact that these documents were late, I'm not seeing that coming up strongly in the document itself. So if we could make sure that we clearly indicate our dissatisfaction with the fact that we've had to consider this now so late in the day, and we've already moved on from the BRRR process. Okay, yeah, that's nice. You can make it a little bit harder. And colleagues, if there's no additional questions, can I have a mover for the adoption of this report?
Matafa moves, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa. Honorable Subrathi, I'm seeing your hand. Is there a second?
Chairperson,
Yes.
I second the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next reports. Hajira, is it the individual members' reports?
Correct, Chairperson. I can request the report from Mr. Subrathi next.
Okay. Honorable members, we have thought it prudent that because a number of members would have been traveling and doing oversight also within the country, that these issues do not end up in the sky and we become like government that you see flying all over the world, but none of that information is brought back and integrated into the processes of Parliament. Hence, we are requesting members as they travel to compile the reports, present them to us, but also speak to the learnings so that all of us may gain, I think, from the experiences that they would have had when they travel or when they were doing oversight. And these ultimately must also find themselves in the resolution tracker that Honorable Botlani was talking about. Honorable Subrathi, you may go first.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Hajar, can you just go to the yes? So, Chairperson, I had the opportunity of representing the committee at the Global Technology Summit, which was held in New Delhi in India. I arrived there on it took place from a Thursday evening, which was a closed house, and Friday and Saturday were open. There were various participants from around the world, and India has been highly recognized to be a world leader in DPI, digital public infrastructure. And one of the key things, Chairperson, when the report has been in circulation for a while, so I'm not going to go through it in verbatim, except I'm just going to maybe capture 2 or 3 of my key learnings. Digital public infrastructure, India managed to master it. And they have now since become almost leaders in the concept, and they're rolling out to various countries. And what we found is that various African countries have adopted it. Hajar, if you just go up, we can see the list of the African countries that have adopted it. There's Morocco, there's Uganda, there's Malawi, Nigeria, and even the Dominican Republic. And they were all represented there, and they spoke about their journey of digital public infrastructure. Now, one of the key learnings I learned, in fact, maybe just what is digital public infrastructure? It largely talks to us having such a digital ecosystem where everything is digitally available to to the citizens of the country. And India developed it, and India mastered it in COVID. One of the challenges that India had was during COVID, how were they going to get the grants through to the people? How were they going to get grants across to people? Because India has a huge population, over 1 billion, a huge population. How are they going to get? So they managed to, through the digital ecosystem, they managed to create a system where they created digital ID. So they know exactly where every citizen is residing. If the person is living in a village, they're able to understand where the person is living. So they managed to then ensure and close the gap of grants, social grants going to the wrong persons through this process of digital identification. And what was very crucially important, in fact, in the first 15 minutes of the closed session, I learned a profound learning came through. And the presenter said that digital public infrastructure must talk to that one common problem that you have in your country. What is that common problem that you have? Because it's almost like a set of Legos. You don't start DPI for you don't start it for the sake of it. He says you start it to resolve a problem. And in India's case, they had leaking in the social grant system, and that was the problem. And they built up a digital identification system. And from that, it went to digital banking, where every person in India has got a bank account that's available. Then it went to identification in terms of the idea, their identification. So everything is digitalized. And that is what digital public infrastructure is in essence. Everything is highly digitalized. So that was the one thing I took, and I was obviously very, very interested in that, because I think that's the journey as South Africans we want to walk to. And interestingly enough, Chairperson, I had an opportunity of sitting having supper, unplanned, totally unplanned, with the person who was actually involved in writing and developing the digital identification. I think it's digital identification platform, and he indicated that India is ready to help other countries. As I indicated, they are helping various other countries develop that, and they're very happy. And I thought maybe it's something that we as South Africans should also look into. The second area that was of interest to us, so the first was really DPI, and the second was around artificial intelligence. Around artificial intelligence, one of the areas that we as a committee have been talking about is how do we regulate AI? But interestingly enough, India has taken a position of a very measured position that they don't seek to regulate AI, because they say AI is in a developmental stage. If you regulate, the question is, and this is the view of India, of course, what do you regulate of a concept that is evolving? It is still in a growth phase. And the second reason why they don't want to seriously regulate it is because it will stifle development and growth, innovation.
And I think another area we learned from there was there were a lot of representatives from Europe that were present in the global summit. And I think Europe acknowledged that there has been a level of too much of regulation in Europe, as a result of which innovation, they haven't seen too much of innovation coming through to Europe. So the other lesson I took from there was the issue of AI. What can we do? What was clear for us? There must be the protection of personal information, etc. And we have that papaya, and we have those regulations. So the other learning for me was a measured regulation of AI. And maybe just going back to DPI, one of the things, so what we got to ask ourselves, what is the single problem that we have? And maybe if we look in South Africa, digital identification is a challenge. We have so much of foreigners in this country, so much of undocumented people in this country. And then if you look at the township economy, you look at the cash economy, you look at the various economies that are out of the system. I think DPI presents with us a unique opportunity to be able to bring everyone onto a digital platform where they are able to be identified, and then thereafter Legos, using the model of the Legos, we can introduce the underbank can be brought into the system, etc. But my report largely talks around those and a few others. And then the last point was, I think, around satellite technology. And the one thing that I learned from there was profound. It was said that the satellite, the space is the new colony. That was quite scary, that space is the new colony, and that whoever gets to space first will colonize space. And we can see now in the digital, in the space environment, there's thousands of satellites that are in low Earth orbit, and we need to ensure, as South Africans, we ensure that we are not unmindful of the space technology. And I think we have started doing something in terms of space technology. It's important for us to have our satellite in space, our low Earth satellite, orbit satellite in space as soon as possible. Chairperson, those are I thought 3 points that are really key learnings I took from there. One was DPI, the second was artificial intelligence, and the third is the importance for us to be in space so that we are part of the future. Thank you so much, Chairperson. And my report was circulated in advance, and I hope the honorable members will have an opportunity to have read it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Subrathi. Can I move over to Barcelona, and then we'll end with Honorable Vilakazi. I'm assuming, Doc, you are presenting Barcelona?
Yes, I am, Chair. Hajira, I would like to present a shortened version, which is about 5 pages. The entire report has been shared, Chair.
I'm loving how you are embracing shorter versions, Dr. Medupi. Thank you.
I think your time strictness on the time, Chair, has really taught us to be short and to the point. Hajira, can I have sharing rights? Okay. Is the document showing, Chair?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you so much, Chair, members. This was a report on the trip undertaken between the 3rd of March to the 6th of March to the Mobile World Congress 2025 in Barcelona. And the team was made by Honorable Chairperson Sangwani, Honorable Vilakazi, and myself. Chair, this was one of those massive global tech gathering where those who in the tech industry had gathered for the 4 days. The background information on the gathering, earlier in March 25, more than 100,000 thought leaders, technologists, and policymakers worldwide to converge in Barcelona for an annual NWC 2025. The event sets the tone for the years coming development in mobile connectivity, and we saw that there was so many development within the space. This year's GSMA MWC 25 theme was Converge, Connect, and Create, which captured the event unique ability to influence the future as the only place that brings together everyone. MWC 25, Chair, is indeed a significant event where discussions about policy and regulation in the telecommunications and the tech sector occur. The event brought together industry leaders, policymakers, regulators, and experts to debate and shape the future of connectivity, mainly focusing on issues such as your artificial intelligence, spectrum issues, digital inclusion, and cybersecurity greatly. The GSMA ministerial program was also one of the key components, and I think, Chair, you also participated in one of the programs, providing a platform for ministers and other influential figures to engage in policy discussion. For Africa, the message from the MWC was that innovation must be inclusive. The rollout of affordable 5G solutions, the AI-driven network optimization, and satellite-powered rural connectivity has to be accelerated. This is for Africa, ensuring that connectivity reaches even the most remote regions. Fintech remains a powerhouse. This was also a message from the Congress, with mobile money and digital payment solutions continue to redefine financial inclusion across the African continent. Enterprises have also started to leverage cloud computing, AI as indicated, blockchain to drive efficiency and scale solutions tailored to the African market. However, innovation cannot thrive, Chair, without the right policies. This was the emphasis, and investment. African leaders, telcos, and tech innovators at the Congress emphasized the need for collaborative regulation, infrastructure investment, and skill development to grow the digital economy sustainability within the continent. One of the programs, which one of those who participated was the GSMA Ministerial Program 2025. The Ministerial Program 2025 was held under the theme Bridging Trust and Governance in the Digital Age. The program brought together, Chair, 188 delegation representing 148 countries and 40 intergovernmental organizations. Critical discussion took place across multiple high-level sessions, and key themes emerged that defined the trajectory of the digital economy, artificial intelligence, connectivity, and regulation in the years to come. One of the discussions was the panel discussions chair for the GSMA ministerial program. One of those was reforming USF in Africa to increase the effectiveness in closing the digital divide. And Chair, you're one of the panel members in the panel discussion. In Africa, this is what the report says. In Africa, at least 51 of the 54 countries in the region have introduced or are introducing the Universal Service Fund, the USF, mechanism to deploy mobile broadband infrastructure in commercially unviable areas. The intention was to bridge the connectivity gap. In all cases, UFS are partly or entirely financed through the contributions from telecom service providers. To understand the performance of UFS, and this is what part of the report was, Chair, and the discussions were about, to understand the performance of UFS in Africa, the GSMA conducted an extensive study. This entailed a survey of stakeholders, including USF authorities, government ministries, and service providers from 40 countries across the region. The study results highlights structural and operational challenges requiring urgent attention from policymakers and USF authorities. These findings inform recommendations for essential policy reforms to enhance the impact funds on the connectivity gap. Chair, without going through the recommendations which are part of the report, and I think this report must have been shared. If not, Chair, I would share the very report with the members where all these recommendations are covered in the report. Our very chairperson of the portfolio committee, that's the next paragraph, Chair, on communications and technology, Honorable Kusala Diko, attended the USF GSMA roundtable session as part of the panel. She indicated that the Universal Service and Access Fund houses substantial funds earmarked for ensuring universal access and service to electronic communication services, primarily focused on infrastructure intensive. The effectiveness of this fund needs to be reviewed and linked to an integrated approach to digital infrastructure development that is aligned with critical digital and future skills development. She further highlighted that South Africa is overhauling legislation with the planned establishment of the DDF. The DDF bill is long overdue, I must say, Chair, in this regard, and DCT would need to consider how soon this bill can be referred to Parliament for processing. This is one of the bills, Chair, in the de-establishment of USASA. One of the bills that is needed to be, as a matter of urgency, that needs to be finalized is the Digital Development Fund bill. On the global tech governance, rising to the challenges, which was one of the panel discussions, harmonized governance frameworks in cybersecurity, internet governance, and data privacy were indicated as crucial to supporting investment, protecting and empowering citizens, and driving the digital economy. However, achieving international cooperation and alignment is lengthy, even when the needs are urgent. The GSM Ministerial Program opening session reflected on the successes, the challenges, and opportunities in global digital policymaking, and considered the growing importance of public-private partnerships in solving complex global issues. If I'm not mistaken, Chair, our very own Minister Malachi, was part of the panel in that panel discussion. There were also panel discussions under Ericsson, and one of those were attended as part of the panel by our very own, the chairperson of ICASA, Mr. Ramusi. One of those discussions was Unlocking Africa. That's where Mr. Ramusi participated. Unlocking Africa, and the topic was on public-private collaboration for digital transformation and effective spectrum policies. On the sideline of MWC Share 2025, Ericsson hosted a pivotal session, Step into Africa Digital Future. The session offered a deep dive into the transformative potential of digital advancements across Africa. It featured a lineup of industry leaders, as indicated, and experts who shared their insight on driving digital growth and innovation in the region. The panel discussion emphasized the need for streamlined framework for effective spectrum policies, encouraging investment and innovation. The panelists highlighted the significance of platforms such as Smart Africa in reinforcing digital policy dialogue among policymakers, regulators, and the private sector. They explored strategic partnerships and collaborations as essential components for unlocking Africa's potential and driving sustainable digital growth. Ericsson also hosted the Step into Africa's Digital Future session. Through insightful discussions and expert perspective, it became evident that collaboration between the public, private sectors, and effective policy frameworks would be critical to unlocking Africa's digital potential. As Africa stands on the brink of a digital revolution, sessions like this highlighted the path forward and inspired collective action towards a brighter, more connected future for the continent. This session remained quite key. I mean, this was one of the sessions that remained quite key to fostering partnerships and encouraging innovation to help transform Africa into its digital ambition and making sure that it realized that ambition. Chair, and this was also one of the the MNOs, I mean the OEMs rather, who were like really they had showcased some of the latest technologies in the global tech. It was Huawei who hosted Digital Economy Development Forum. The speakers examined the opportunities and challenges in the digital economy and discussed the importance of solid digital infrastructure, strong industry collaboration, and open and collaborative digital ecosystems. Many also provided their recommendation on digital strategy and roadmaps for high quality development of the global digital economy. Chair, on the reflections, and this is for the committee really, some takeaways for the committee on the reflections on the MWC 2025 from South African perspective point of view. South Africa has a well-developed digital policy environment, we must say, covering all the critical aspects of policy required to support the sector's growth and development, but faces numerous challenges to realize the digital economy full potential. It is therefore recommended that the following steps be taken, and this is just amongst many other steps, Chair. The following steps should be taken to address the investment and growth of South Africa's digital economy, ensure that policies and decisions create a suitable investment environment, ensure spectrum policy that promotes investment, including a robust oversight framework to complete the digital migration and market-led and collaborative approach for sunsetting 2G, 3G networks that are sitting on one of the very important spectrum, Chair. So that sunsetting process would have to be undertaken and be finalized as a matter of urgency in order to release the spectrum that these networks are sitting on. Ensure measures to provide more effective deployment, energy supply, and security protection for telecoms network. Ensure support for digital adoption through revising the text on imported devices and accelerated digital skills training. And I think on the import text, Chair, some of those things have been done already, but that's very important that we keep on doing some of those things going forward. Expedite the implementation of the digital master plan, that is South Africa, and other components of the sector policy framework with a mandate from the President and the Cabinet and dedicated program management and resources. South Africa will need to ensure that the reform of the sector regulatory framework to support the growth of the digital economy, including a leveled playing field and collaborative approach to newer technologies such as your over-the-top players, LEO satellites, AI, and cloud computing amongst many others. The last one is speedy processing. This one can never be overemphasized. The speedy processing of the Electronic Communications Act, ECA amendment, remains very, very critical. Future recommendations to the committee to such exercises, Chair, to benefit greatly from some of these trips. Future recommendation on travel to international policy engagement forums, Chair. And these are just amongst many, Chair, and these are not really cast in stone. The committee must develop guidelines and framework to inform international engagement such as the MWC, IGF, and many other critical forums influencing policy and legislation. And if possible, Chair, Parliament would need to agree on funding mechanisms where needed that would allow committee members to attend these critical forums for developmental purposes and influence and be able to influence legislation from local and global perspective. Some of the funding sources, Chair, as it were, as one of the suggestions, could be for the international conferences, could be through the associations within the sector with clear ethical consideration agreed upon to eliminate any conflict and regulatory and legislative capture. The other point, Chair, is the committee would need to agree on reporting template for post-conferences or post-disengagement and how some land experiences and recommendations will be implemented in the portfolio and the sector in general. And lastly, Chair, the committee, CONED advisors, and the researcher will ensure that members, or should ensure that members are fully prepared with concept notes outlining the conference themes and detailed expected outcomes for comprehensive reporting purposes. That is the Barcelona report, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Medupi, for that attempt at a summary. Let's invite the final report from Honorable Vilakazi on his oversight visit in KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Vilakazi.
Dr. Medupi, could you just stop sharing, please?
Thank you, Chair. I note the subtle encouragement, let me put it that way, via the comment to Doc, but hopefully I'll pass the test. Chair, thank you so much for this opportunity. I had the opportunity early in the year to visit a number of entities, or the regional sites of a number of entities within the department. These were the Film and Publications Board, the Government Communication and Information System, NEMISA, the SAPC, South African Post Office, Centec, SETA, and Postbank. A number of observations stood out for me, Chair, that are enumerated in the report. But just in summary, firstly, the main thing that I appreciated was the seriousness with which the entities, the leadership of the entities, took my request to visit their sites. I was given all the support that I needed, starting all the way from the Director General of the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. She made sure that she contacted all the CEs and that I was given all the support I needed. I also, in fact, organizations such as the Film and Publications Board and Centec sent executives that were outside the region to come and meet with me during my visit, indicating the seriousness with which they considered the visit. Post the visit, I also sent a number of inquiries, either on my own behalf or on behalf of staff within the region to the heads of entities, and received responses, a number of which I incorporated in the report. And this, to me, just showed as well that the that the initiative was considered serious enough by the entities to provide responses and to assist in managing the relationships between headquarters and the region. And the other thing that I noted, Chair, here was that regional challenges largely mirror national challenges. So you found, for example, with the FPB, that funding challenges that get expressed to us in the committee all the time at a national level have a profound impact at the regional level. And the very small office and staff really stretched in carrying out their mandate. And this was the case almost across the board. I do have to say that SITA had, the regional office had unique challenges, particularly at the time. You may remember that this was the time that the term of the acting MD was coming to an end. There was turmoil between the board and the staff. And prior, in fact, my visit was postponed by a week because a week prior to my visit, the board or a committee, the HR committee of the SITA board had visited SITA KZN, and there was a lot of it was an emotional time that they had the emotional meeting with staff. So there were a number of issues, but it's been pleasing to see that these issues have, by and large, been addressed. I was invited back by the staff of SITA KZN, and I have yet to honor that invitation, but I will in due course. Also, there were staff issues at the SABC that I was requested to forward to the CE and for her to discuss with the relevant authorities, which she did and responded, and I was able to pass those responses back to the regional staff. The other thing that I noticed, Chair, the other observation for me was that the visit opened up lines of communication between myself and the regional entities. And so now, for example, South African Post Office, I am able to either initiate communication directly with the regional office, or they talk to me about what's going on there. And so it's just made the relationship easier and made it easier for the entities to access a parliamentarian. And this is my other observation, that it's quite helpful, I think, to present that opportunity for regional structures, regional entities to be able to directly interact with a parliamentarian, because a lot of the time we only get the view of headquarters, and some of the issues that pertain specifically to entities, to localized entities, may not be highlighted. But in the case where they are able to have direct communication with the parliamentarian, then it helps in ensuring that those issues are addressed at that level. And finally, I would just say, Chair, that I highly recommend regional or individual oversight visits by members of parliament, members of this committee, to their regional sites wherever they are based, for these benefits that I have mentioned, and just to ensure that we are able to give a more rounded oversight over the entity, and even more rounded support in ensuring that the department and its entities get to deliver their mandates, their public mandates, in the best way possible. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Vilakazi. Firstly, for your commitment and your dedication, ensuring that even, when other people use constituency period for a break, you did the important work that needed to be done. And I echo your encouragement, I think, to members of the committee to undertake these visits. I know that at the beginning of the 7th administration, the EFF in particular used to complain that they were not being given access to various facilities and so forth. So I'm glad to see that that has not been the case in our portfolio. So thank you very much. Colleagues, these reports are for noting, if I'm not mistaken, not necessarily for adoption, but I'll be guided by the Secretariat. I do want to open up for anybody who wants to comment on the reports, but maybe some of my key takeouts from the meeting, which I would want to present to the committee, from the presentations. On the issue of the digital public infrastructure, I'm sure honorable members will be aware that I think about a month or two ago, the presidency, working together with the DCDT and the National Treasury, launched the digital transformation roadmap under Operation Vulindlela Phase 2. And some key components of that digital transformation roadmap are these issues of digital public infrastructure, of digital payments, as well as data exchange. Hearing Honorable Subrati talk about his trip, but also the fact that there is movement in South Africa, I would want to propose that we consider a deep dive on this matter of digital public infrastructure and the roadmap in the next term. Similarly, the issue of the regulation of artificial intelligence. There is I don't know whether it's a framework or a concept document or a policy that was developed by the DCDT towards the end of last year around the regulation of artificial intelligence. I think our discussion around artificial intelligence is long overdue. The South African Communications Forum, for example, has been wanting to also address the portfolio committee on the issues of artificial intelligence. So maybe that is something else that we need to pick up for discussion in the next term. We are very keen to see the developments, and I think we need to write a letter on the Digital Development Fund. From what I saw from the revised APP or strat plan, I don't know, of the DCDT, there seems to be different thinking around there. So it's important that we get a sense of it. And obviously the regulation of OTTs, which is long overdue. Honorable Vilakazi, on some of the challenges that you're raising around funding, we did recently write to the Minister of Finance, wanting firstly clarity on the Universal Access Fund. You'll remember that it's been raised in the committee a number of times that people don't know where the fund is, they don't know how to access the money, or it's difficult to access the money. The MNOs saying they're contributing to the USAF, but they don't see any reporting on it. So we do have a report from the Minister of Finance, which I've asked the Secretariat to share. But in that letter, we also raised the funding challenges of ICASA, where the minister responds to say that nobody has engaged him about any funding challenges at ICASA. And he explains why ICASA was not allowed to retain some of that 14 billion. I have not gone through the letter in depth, but I know that there's an explanation there. And then maybe finally, just to indicate that on the matters that you're raising on SAPO, I think members were in the House when the minister indicated that within the next 2 weeks, they'll be going out on a public call to invite interested parties to present proposals for partnerships with SAPO. And I think that that is a huge step in the right direction. This is something that we have been calling for repeatedly. And I think even in conversations that we would have had with National Treasury was very clear to say that unless you can demonstrate how you are going to stop being over-reliant on the fiscus, we are not even having a discussion about 3.8 billion or anything in that regard. So I think that is something to be welcomed, and we should be watching that process like a hawk. So, members, any comments on the presentations? Honorable Souls, you'll obviously know that soon we'll be looking to you from your trip to Norway. And just to indicate, members, I'm sorry, Honorable Bolan, I do see you. All of these trips that we've undertaken to date have largely been sponsored by either the private companies or organizations such as the AGF, who would have indicated that they want the portfolio committee to have access to these matters. We have since also started putting together a concept document around a study tour where we are proposing a study tour to either either Russia, India, or China. But I think that document will be shared with members once it is ready for submission. Honorable Botlani, over to you.
Chair, you actually read my mind because I wanted to raise the issue of how in the sixth administration opportunity was missed for benchmarking opportunities because we were late or we were not persuasive enough to get approvals from the House chairperson in terms of going on benchmarking activities. So I'm encouraged by the response that you have given now and really look forward to the answer. But I was just wanting to say the report provided an opportunity for great learnings. Mine would be to say maybe in the future we should just be a bit more transparent to just inform other members as a courtesy when one member is going to be representing the portfolio committee. And like you say, it has not been parliamentary trips, just so that we don't hear at the end. It's not seeking permission, but just as a courtesy so that we know this person has been there just to improve on the collegiality. But for the members that have represented us, Chairperson, we really do appreciate it. And we really do appreciate the learnings that have come out of these presentations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Botlani. And I think that point is well noted. Any other comments, colleagues? No comments, no questions? Okay, then can I take it that the reports have been noted and the committee advisors, I'm advised informally that Parliament has acquired a researcher for the committee. I'm still waiting formal correspondence in that regard, but I'm sure as soon as that is finalized, we will be notified. And the researcher then working together with the committee advisors should obviously look at ways how we integrate this input into our work, but also to assist us. I don't understand how we don't have at this point, a position paper at least on what we think should be done around OTTs, what we think should be done around what is this thing? Artificial intelligence, but all of the, misinformation or the information disorders. Because as we speak about these things around the world, it's been proven that we're not the only jurisdiction that's grappling with these issues. And I think those learnings should be coming through. And we hope that with the added capacity in the committee, we'll be able to do so. So thank you very much, members. Can we move then to the last items, which I believe are the adoption of the minutes? Am I correct, Harijira?
That is correct, Chairperson. Chairperson, first up will be minutes 27th May. The committee has already looked at the set of minutes and made changes to it. Additional changes were made, and I'm going to flight an edited copy, Chairperson.
Yeah.
Dr. Madupi, if you can just speak to the changes, thank you.
I think the rest of the changes, Chair, if I may, some of the changes have been spoken into in red. The only change, Chair, that was outstanding, Hajira, it's around the position as indicated by the President during one of the interviews. Hajira, I think I sent you the pointer this morning.
Blue. It's indicated in blue.
Yeah, this is over and above, Chair, what was at that, I think that's the meeting that you were chairing, if I'm not mistaken, Chair. Over and above what was added after, I think Honorable Lagazi had indicated that some of the concerns were missing. Everything in red was then added, and it was discussed. I think Honorable Subratu was acting during that meeting. All the reds were discussed.
Oh. Corrections up.
Huh? Oh. Honorable Vilagazi, please mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Everything in red, Chair, it's what was amended after the initial comments were received from the members, and all those that are in red have been discussed. The additional point that was raised by Honorable Chauke and so Honorable Subrati, was the position espoused by the President during one of the interviews that government supports any progressive and democratic process as enshrined in law that allows prospective investment in South Africa, including any foreign companies willing to invest in the country. That was the point that needs to be, to be added, Chair, or to be sort of rephrased from the previous minutes during the meeting that was chaired by Honorable Subrati. I think that's assisted, Chair. That's basically the amendment on the minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Botlani, I saw your hand up.
No, Chair, I just wanted to make sure that we get to capture the inputs of Honorable Adonis. With that, Chair, I would love to move for the minutes to finally be adopted.
Thank you. I chaired the meeting. I did not chair the one where Honorable Adonis would have made her inputs. Are they captured, Secretariat?
You have chaired the meeting, Chairperson, and everything is captured after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the minutes have been moved for adoption. Do we have a seconder?
I second, Chair. Just so that you know I'm here watching them.
Sorry, Honorable Souls, I didn't hear the second part.
Not relevant, Chair.
Okay, so the minutes have been moved and adopted. Honorable Botlani, you can't object minutes, you just moved for adoption.
Chair,
Honorable
I don't know
Botlani?
if Honorable Stolz was in the first meeting and what would be the procedure in having him adopt. Can we just double check? If I think we're in M46 at the initial meeting, so I don't know how we would then.
Yes, you're correct. Honorable Souls, I don't think you were in that meeting. Could I then have somebody who was in the meeting second the adoption of the minutes?
Second, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mkhaga. So the minutes of that meeting of the 27th of May are duly adopted. Can we move on to the next set of minutes?
Chairperson, we have circulated this minute. It's Tuesday, 10th of June. Thank you.
Hajira, I think you're moving very quickly on these minutes. I know that you may have circulated them, but I would like an opportunity to just follow. Can I request that you go back to the third page so that if there's anything on a page, the members can just address it because it's quite a lengthy set of minutes? So where you start with the content of the minutes? Up, madam. Up, up, up. Thank you. You may proceed. Thank you. Thank you. You may proceed. On bullet point, I'm not sure now, but the sentence reads, there's a general lack of prioritization of urban connectivity. I'm not sure if that's what we meant. There's no lack of prioritization of urban connectivity. Thank you. You may proceed. You may proceed. You may proceed. Sorry, Hajira, just go back up. I don't know if we said that the smart cities framework is poorly conceptualized, because the smart city framework was speaking about how COCTA understands smart cities, or what COCTA understands smart cities to be. The next bullet point, you're saying that it is poorly conceptualized. You can't have both good initiative and poorly conceptualized. Maybe we need to rethink what was meant there. Honorable Mkhacha was not talking about Transnet's infrastructure. He was talking about PRASA's infrastructure that is only concentrated in the metropolitan areas to the exclusion of rural provinces. So that was PRASA. Thank you. You may proceed. You may proceed. Thank you. You may proceed. You may proceed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You may proceed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members, those are the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 10th of June, 2025, on matters pertaining to infrastructure sharing between BBI, Sentech, and the state ICTs. One thing that I'm not seeing here, Hajira, which I would request as an addition, is that we need to be very clear on the prescripts of the BBI Act as it relates specifically to Transnet and Eskom around BBI's access to their infrastructure. If there are no other corrections, amendments, maybe just to report to the portfolio committee as well, that I was informed yesterday, if not the day before, that following this meeting, there has been an engagement between the department, Eskom, Transnet, or the Department of Transport, so our department, DCDT, Transport and Electricity. And they have agreed to establish a task team, such task team that will be taking forward the matters that the portfolio committee raised on the 10th of June. So I know sometimes Honorable Vilakazi gets disheartened not seeing where our efforts are going, but I thought that meeting was really a step in the right direction, taking forward these discussions. May I have a mover then for the adoption of the minutes?
I move, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. Thank you, Honorable Subrathi. The minutes are duly adopted. Do we have another set of minutes, Hajira?
Yes, Chairperson, just 2 sets of minutes. They are not long, Chairperson, the 17th and the 18th. Thank you.
Okay, I think this meeting was chaired by Honorable Subrathi. Let's just go through the minutes. Yes, you may proceed, ma'am. May I proceed? You may proceed. Chairperson of the meeting, if you are happy, can I call for the adoption of the minutes?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm happy with the meeting, with the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a member moving for the adoption of the minutes? Thank you, Honorable Botlani. May I have a seconder?
Second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. And then the final set of minutes?
Minutes of the 18th of June, Chairperson. Mr. Subrathi was also acting Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Are you happy that we move for the adoption of these minutes?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm happy.
Thank you. Could I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Matafa moves, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa. May I have a seconder?
Second, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Vilakazi, was that to second? Thank you very much. Okay, so the minutes of that meeting are duly adopted. Hajira, what else do we have on the agenda?
That was the end for reports and minutes, Chairperson, but we are coming back for the report on GCIS, and GCIS member and NDDA is online, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Ngoma?
Chairperson, thank you very much. Good morning to you and honorable members, as well as everyone in the platform. Shall we just have that report that I read into the record in our last meeting on Friday? And then I was requested to just comply with the decision of the subcommittee, which was to add a brief profile on the shortlisted candidates. Chairperson, it's safe to say that I have done that. So I think on Friday you had indicated that it would just be a matter of the committee adopting this report as soon as I show evidence of what was missing, which is right there, the annexures and the brief on the candidates, Chair, on all 9 candidates. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Perhaps for the benefit of, if I'm not mistaken, it was only Honorable Souls who was not present on Friday. We had received a report from the subcommittee on the filling of vacancies for the MDDA. The report indicated 9 names that were shortlisted out of the 156 or 159. I'm not sure of the exact amount. These names were unanimously adopted by the subcommittee for shortlisting. So we are requesting the portfolio committee to adopt this report so that it may serve in the House, one, and then secondly, we may then go out for public comment on the shortlisted candidates before we schedule interviews. The only change that was requested by the portfolio committee was that the report should be accompanied by short profiles of the candidates that were shortlisted, which has since been done. I think honorable members will be familiar with the report. If so, I can take any clarity-seeking questions or call for a mover for the report. Members, report in.
Chair.
Honorable Mkhaga?
Because that was the only matter that was outstanding on that day. I therefore move for adoption of this report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkhaga. Honorable Malaysia laughing means you are seconding. Am I correct?
No, I'm good to second Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So that report on the shortlisting of the MDDA candidates has also been moved and adopted. Colleagues, this is the earliest we've ever finished anything in our lives, and I don't want to spoil it by us staying here, but I do want a final call before you celebrate, Dr. Medupi. The Money Bills Amendment Procedure Act has been shared on the group. We wish to refer you to section 10.5 of the act, and I'll request Ms. Nangoma to just take us through it quickly, because then it guides our process moving forward on the GCIS budget vote. Mr. Ngoma?
Thank you very much, Chair. As I'm just opening the document so that I can share it on the screen, so that members can have a view of what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Chair. As you had indicated, I'm looking at the section 10 of the Money Bills and Related Matters Amendment Act, which speaks to the passing of the appropriation bill, specific section being section 10 of that act, but I will take members to 10 subsection 5, where in Chairperson it indicates that a committee. Can I proceed, Chair?
Honorable Shangwe, please mute. Honorable Shangwe, please mute. Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Ngoma.
Thank you very much. That section 10, subsection 5, Chair, reads as follows. Another committee may advise a committee on appropriations that a subdivision of a main division within a vote be appropriated conditionally to ensure that the money requested for the main division will be spent effectively, efficiently, and economically, provided that the committee must specify the conditions that need to be met before the Committee on Appropriations may recommend to the House that the funds be released. The minister or the affected member of cabinet must be given 2 days to respond to the proposed conditional appropriation. A recommendation to the House that a subdivision of a main division within a vote is appropriated conditionally must be accompanied by the response from the minister and the affected member of cabinet, as the case requires. And lastly, the House must consider recommendation of the Committee on Appropriations to release the funds within 7 days after the committee reported to the House. That is how that section 10, subsection 5 reads, Chair. But I just want to quickly also read subsection 7, which I believe would also respond to some of the questions that were raised by the members here, which reads as follows. Parliament must pass with or without amendments or reject the appropriation bill within 4 months after the start of the financial year to which it relates. Chair, I'm not a legal expert, but I've read this section specifically because there was an issue related to this which was raised, especially in relation to what the parliament role in terms of the budget is, Chair, vis-a-vis maybe the process that would have been before this committee. So that section, it says Parliament must pass with or without amendments or reject the appropriation bill. Thank you, Chairperson. I hope I was able to assist, or I would have assisted in members maybe making the resolutions relating to the GCIS report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngoma, for the promptness with which you dealt with that query. Colleagues, I want to put it to you then that the issue that we had earlier around the GCIS budget vote, it seems that the law is quite clear that what we were speaking to in terms of passing the report with conditionalities is expressly provided for in law. I want to make a recommendation, but I still note that there were some members who were still wanting to consult. But I want to make a recommendation which the House will consider, that we pass the report with the conditions that had been outlined. Honorable Vilakazi had very specific conditions around the what is this thing now? The measurement of the targets, insisting that the targets are neither specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, or time-bound. And he had recommendations in how he believes that that can be achieved. The detail of how that can be achieved, I think, would be the subject of a response from the minister. I had also made a number of recommendations relating to legislative reform, policy instruments, evidence-based communications, and so forth, the issues that were captured by the Secretariat. With that being said, may I check if we would be able to move for the adoption of this report with conditionalities, taking into account that we would need to do it with immediate effect so that the minister has got time to respond before Friday. Honorable Subrathi, I see your hand is up.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, thank you for the leadership and the clarity you have provided thus far in this meeting. I think, as you have indicated, this allows us for the moving for the adoption for the report, and I therefore move that this report be adopted with the amendments as Chairperson you have proposed. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Subrathi. May I check if there are any views or if we have a seconder?
I second the proposal.
I second, Chair.
Thank you. I've got Honorable Sol seconding with Honorable Mkhaga. Honorable Botlani.
Chair, just to register again and re-emphasize that we reserve our right on this one, even with the additional information that has been provided.
Thank you very much. So the report is then adopted with the reservation of the Democratic Alliance noted, as well as the reservation. I hope I'm not speaking on your behalf, Honorable Shongwe, but I
I
know
was
it's
coming in for this,
tradition
Chair.
there.
Thank you.
I know it's tradition there. Honorable Alicia?
I just wanted to register our reservations as well, Chair.
Thank you.
And
Honorable members, let me be clear. I don't have objections. I've got reservations, right? So that is how I understand it. Am I correct?
Yes, Chair.
on my yes, Chair.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Thank you very much. So the committee report then is adopted with conditional amendments, which then require that the committee advisors and secretariat we sit as soon as after this meeting, so that the conditions to which we are attaching to the budget are communicated to the appropriations committee no later than this afternoon, thus giving an opportunity to the minister to be able to respond ahead of the budget vote. Thank you very much, colleagues. Once again, I think for the manner in which we've managed to deal with the issues promptly and collegially, and so we are going to meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to be considering the revisions from the Department Communications and Digital Technologies to, in particular, their annual performance plan, as we've been given an indication that the changes are in the APP. I wish to also implore members that you have a look at the questions that we had sent to the department the first time they presented their strat plan and APP, because we had indicated to the minister that any consideration of the budget of the department was dependent on us also getting satisfactory answers to the questions that we had posed. I don't need to underscore the fact that it is critical that, as we did with the GCIS, we do not allow anything to pass here when we will not be able to effect any changes beyond that. But thank you very much. We are meeting in room S12 in the NCOP, as I understand it. Without then any further ado, let me declare this meeting closed and wish all of you a pleasant day further. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. Long live the Chair.
Long live the Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Our meeting at room
S12A. S12A, sir.
room 12A.
S12A, it's the NCOP building, ground floor, sir.
Okay.